Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming a video that might be a little bit controversial. Worst books that I read in 2016. But before everyone loses their minds, I want you to keep in mind that these are all just my personal opinions, and I completely respect if you love these books, and this video is not meant to be disrespectful to any of these authors or people who created this material or people who love these books. This is all just my personal opinion, and I figured, you know, I'm gonna be making my favorite books of the year video later this month, and why not make a video also discussing my least favorite books of the year. When you read about 100 books in a year, you're bound to read a couple of stinkers, so, and I'm sorry if it offends anybody, but I can't help the way I feel, so let's just jump right into it. That's all you got. So starting off at number 10 on this list, we probably have the most controversial book on this whole list because I have a very unpopular opinion when it comes to this book, and that is going to be Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. And I know you're probably like, what the F, because you probably love this book, but just hear me out. For me, this book was one of my most disappointing books of the year, not only because I was looking forward to it so much, but every single person was like, oh my god, it's the best book ever, I cried so much. And when I read this, all I really saw was a really annoying main character in Louisa. I just thought she was so childish and immature, and I didn't understand how she never really thought about her life and what she wanted to do, and she's 26 years old. She's such a weak main character in my opinion, and I couldn't stand her at all. Like, I honestly think she's one of the most juvenile 26-year-old main characters I've ever read about. I don't like the overall message that this book has to send to handicapped people. I mean, if you read this book, then you probably know what I mean, but if you don't, I'll be putting a link to my Goodreads review that goes into more of the spoilers of why I didn't like it for that particular reason. But I don't like the message this sends about handicapped people. Hated how towards the end of this book, some of the chapters are told from random characters' perspectives, like something dramatic is happening, and we don't even get to see it from their perspectives. You only get to see it from like Will's mom's perspective or like their family members, and it's so random. I guess I just had really high expectations for this book, so that's probably why it ended up being one of the more disappointing ones. Coming in at number 9 is How to Love by Katie Cotugno. This girl, Raina, is in love with, obsessed with this guy named Sawyer. I don't really understand what she sees in Sawyer, to be honest. He's like the typical player douchebag. He's in a band. This isn't a spoiler or anything because it's told in the beginning of the book, but he basically like skips town on her when she's like pregnant with their kid. I mean, I know he doesn't know that she's pregnant, but like still, he leaves and now he's like back and it's 2 years later. He just like lets him back in so easily, I feel like she doesn't like get that mad at him that he like left. Raina's relationship with her daughter in this book is such a like surface relationship than to like remind you of the fact that she has a daughter. Yeah, I didn't really like this one. Coming in at number 8 on my list is Between Us and the Moon by Rebecca Yazel. Ugh, the ending of this book pissed me off. I mean, this book started off promising enough. This book does have some beautiful moments, like don't get me wrong, it has beautiful moments and beautiful quotes. The main character is such a selfish asshole. She basically, the premise of this book is that she's gonna spend the whole summer pretending to be her sister in an attempt to get more friends. You know, if you want to have a beautiful coming of age story and maybe you're pretending to be somebody you're not, that's fine, but like there's a point where you cross a line when you're pretending to be somebody else. And the fact that she carelessly hurts this guy that she's with like in this whole book, it's just, I am not okay with that. Like, you do not get to hurt him just because you're figuring out who you are. That's not cool. Coming in at number 7 is Mind Games by TJ Moore. It's like an adult thriller that takes place in San Francisco. All the characters felt so like robotic and fake. All the conversations felt very forced. The way that flashbacks are thrown into the story is so choppy. The main character's entire life story is thrown at you in like chunks of paragraphs in like this one chapter, and it's not really like weaved into the story. And this one detective named Vince, he's such a typical like douchebag detective who just acts like he's so much better than everyone else. I didn't even care to like finish this book. It just wasn't very good. Coming in at number 6 is Drive by James Salas. This book is the book for the movie Drive. If you've ever seen the movie's way better. This book is written in third person, which is usually fine, but this third person is like so distant from the characters that I feel like I don't even know any of the characters characters even as I'm reading them. For example, we don't even know the main character's real name. Like, he just goes by Driver for the whole book. The writing style was very weird, and there were all these like weird flashbacks of Driver's childhood that I felt like weren't even really necessary to the main story. Overall, this book was just super disappointing, and it's like so short too. It's only like 150 pages, but it's honestly not even worth it. Like, just go and watch the movie. Coming in at number 5 is The Morning After by Adrienne Lay. This book is a typical new adult romance novel. It follows this guy named Tristan and this girl named Georgia. Georgia is in a relationship with this guy named Kyle, okay? And Tristan is this selfish fuckboy who literally only cares about winning her over, and he doesn't really care about Georgia though, you know what I mean? He only cares about like beating out Kyle. And like, Georgia is such a stupid idiot for going to Tristan. Like, I can't stand cheating. I can't stand it. I don't really see any reasons that we're supposed to be attracted to Tristan other than that he's so attractive and he's a sex god. Okay, but what as a reader is gonna make me like him? You know, he's such a douchebag. I hate guys that encourage girls to cheat on their boyfriends. Like, you're scum. Number 4 on my list is Nothing More by Anna Todd. This book is another kind of new adult romance. This reads like a really bad fan fiction. I don't even understand what the point of this book is. It's just a ridiculous love triangle with this guy and these two girls. One of the most annoying characters I've ever read about in a book, which is Dakota, and she's his first love, but she left him, and now she's like jealous whenever he tries to get a new girlfriend. Like, you can't have me, but you can't have anybody else either. Like, she's such a controlling bitch. All the characters are just so like one-dimensional and forgettable, and besides the love triangle, this book has nothing else going on for it, so I was not a fan. I didn't like any of the 3 in the love triangle. I was annoyed with all of them. Number 3 on my list is Pretty Baby by Mary Kubica, and this is an adult thriller, and to be honest, it's probably one of the most boring thrillers I've ever read in my life. This book is just so fucking boring. It's about this lady who sees this homeless teenage girl with a baby, and she decides to bring them into their house, like her family's house, with her husband and her teenage daughter. Sounds like an interesting premise enough for a thriller, right? But like, literally nothing happens after she brings the baby and the girl in. We just get this long ass book of like family drama. Like, the family's obviously uncomfortable with her being in the house, but Heidi, the main character, is such a controlling freak that she doesn't even care what her family thinks. And then we get all these random ass flashback chapters of the teenage girl's life I couldn't care less about, to be honest. There's no plot twist that you don't see coming from like a mile away towards the end. Written like so wordy, like the descriptions are so long for everything. It's just unnecessary, and it's way too long for what it is, and I didn't like it. Coming in at number 2 is Love and Rewind by Tally Alexander, and this book has every single cliche in a new adult book that you can possibly imagine. Total player douchebag of a guy just falls head over heels for this 18-year-old virgin girl in like 2 days. Goes from being this player who's like, I'm never gonna settle down, to like after 2 days he's like, I can't live without you, you're like everything. And they've spent less than 48 hours together when he starts like bossing her around and telling her what she can and can't wear and all this bullshit, and I'm just like, he's such a controlling Christian Grey type. Huge age gaps normally don't bother me all that much, but the fact that he always is calling her little girl while they're like doing stuff is so creepy. It's just so cringy, and every single page I was like rolling my eyes and cringing, and I couldn't believe that this is like a real thing. That's all you got. The number 1 most disappointing book of the year for me was Never Never Part 3 by Colleen Hoover and Tarryn Fisher, and I think this is number 1 for me because Colleen Hoover is my favorite author, so I was hella disappointed by this, and because I was reading this trilogy over the course of like a year and a half probably, and so this is the final conclusion piece for that trilogy, and it's such a joke. This trilogy is a romance thriller type trilogy about this couple who forget who they are. Was expecting some kind of epic conclusion to this trilogy, but instead we get this pathetic excuse for a reason why they forgot their memories. It's like literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Such a disappointment coming from these 2 awesome authors. Like, they can honestly do better. So much cheesy romance and not that much thriller, and like nothing happens discussing the actual mystery of this book until the last like 5 pages. Like, the reason they forget each other is so stupid. I can't recommend this trilogy now as a whole, which really sucks because the first book was actually really decent, but if you know it's not going anywhere, then it's definitely not worth it, right? Overall, all these books were very disappointing to me, and again, I don't mean any offense to anybody who likes these books. These are all just my personal opinion, and I know that I have very very unpopular opinions, and that's okay. We're all entitled to our own opinions. So let me know in the comments, what were some of your most disappointing books of the year? I would love to know. I would love to discuss stuff like that with you guys in the comments. Yeah, and oh my god, it's snowing outside right now. And I know it's kind of not that big of a deal because it's December and like it snows all the time at places of the world, but like just moved to Washington like a year ago and I'm still not used to seeing snow. And it's snowing like so hard outside of my window right now. This is what I'm looking at out the window. I can't even believe that right now. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I'll put in more clips at the end of all the snow in the backyard and the front yard, and in the next couple of weeks I should be uploading my most anticipated books of 2017 and my top favorite books of the year. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't got the power, hey, shut me down. That's not enough. Look at this. Oh my god. I just woke up and it's snowing. Only the beginning of December. It's starting off with a bang. Sorry, it's just because I'm still from California, so I'm not used to snow. And it's so freaking beautiful. And here's a view of the backyard. Completely covered in snow.